In the dimly lit room, Han confronted Sungtae with suspicion heavy in his voice, demanding to know if the shadowed man had truly been part of the Phoenix Club. It began in a somber haze, where a lone, damaged concrete block sat amid the ash and smoke, revealing that the club had been reduced to ruins. From the devastation lingering in the air, the scene shifted to a dimly lit room where Sungtae, voice grave, warned Han that a group with such a long legacy would not vanish quietly and insisted they would now become targets. In the stark tension of a close-up, Sungtae's eyes narrowed as he demanded to know if Han truly feared the consequences of revenge. In the shadows of a tense, uncertain night, Han stood firm, his eyes steady as he declared with unshakable confidence that no one could take his life. In a dimly lit space thick with remorse, Han stood partially consumed by encroaching shadows, his expression twisted in guilt as he confessed that he was indeed a murderer, yet insisted that eliminating his victims had been the only way to prevent even greater loss. Through the narrow gap of parted red curtains, a foreboding darkness settled over the hallway as the narrator reflected that the place felt fundamentally wrong, its very essence radiating menace. Han gripped Sungtae's shoulders with urgency, his tense warning revealing that Sungtae had no idea what kind of place the Phoenix Club truly was. In the charged silence, a close-up revealed Han's jaw tightening as he calmly hinted that he might already possess the knowledge others sought, his confidence adding weight to the tension. Han stood trembling before a shadowed, imposing figure, his voice faltering as he admitted his fear that his older brother would only feel disappointment. Sungtae extended his hand toward Han, his confident gaze suggesting he doubted the other could truly grasp it. A bead of sweat traced down Han's tense face as he endured the silent pressure, anxiety flickering in his eyes. In the gentle darkness, a nostalgic warmth filled the air as Sungtae, even as a small child, would always reach out his hand toward the narrator, a silent gesture of comfort and unwavering support. Against a backdrop shrouded in darkness and swirling smoke, an unseen presence admitted with chilling certainty that they would not hesitate to relinquish control, the words hanging ominously in the void. In the faint glow of a lonely room, a newborn swaddled in thin cloth lay abandoned, as the somber truth emerged that Jintae's parents had left their innocent child behind at an orphanage. Jintae's much younger brother, the peaceful infant Kim Sungtae, lay serenely with his eyes closed, introducing a tender new presence to the unfolding story. Bathed in the soft glow of memory, Han gazed tenderly at the cheerful baby clutching his hand, recalling how Sungtae had always gravitated toward him, even more than to Jintae. In the quiet intimacy of a shadowed room, Han's hand was gently grasped by a smiling figure, yet beneath that hopeful touch, he felt only indifference. In a shadowy cascade of bullets, medicine, and scattered documents, the somber aftermath of Jintae's shooting merged with the relentless burden of an incurable illness and the chaos of work life. In the smoky darkness, a solitary figure named Jintae stood calmly, while a reflective mood lingered as Han revealed that memories of him would always remain. As Han gazed thoughtfully at the gift box labeled for Sungtae, he reflected that although Jintae was not truly his brother and could handle things on his own, Sungtae, who had grown up in an orphanage and rarely saw them, deserved some support, deciding it would be best to send gifts instead. Han, pensive and conflicted, reflected on how, in his mind, Sungtae's importance kept slipping further down his list of priorities. In the quiet glow of afternoon, Han sat alone at the table, his thoughts drifting to how long it had been since he last saw the boy, and wondering if he should stop by the orphanage. On a rain-streaked evening heavy with anxious reflection, Han stood alone, his thoughts circling around a boy who seemed to be Sungtae's age, wondering if time had changed him and admitting to himself that memories of the past had begun to surface more often lately. Sunlight filtered through the office window as Han, seated amid scattered documents, looked up with a thoughtful expression and asked Jintae, who was just stepping inside, whether they should visit the orphanage together that day. In a quiet room tinged with seriousness, Han fixed Jintae with a steady gaze and reminded him that they needed to head to the club as planned. Hearing the plan laid out, he paused for a moment, then with a resigned sigh admitted they had no real alternative. Han, thoughts heavy as he recalled how, ever since Hajin Construction's bankruptcy, he had dutifully attended every meeting, only to find that during his time abroad, the club had quietly changed in his absence. In a dimly lit room shrouded in mystery, Han recalled how, during his time abroad, the club had transformed into a circle of silhouettes exchanging fervent debates and gathering data on immortality, the air thick with seriousness and thoughtful intensity. Now, as the eerie glow from the open book cast flickering shadows across the littered desk, the scene evoked how those who once debated now praised eternal life and pursued the secrets of an immortal body with unwavering obsession. Choi Il-ho calmly addressed Han and Jin-tae, noting that there were additional differences to consider. With a gentle smile, he welcomed Lord Phoenix and acknowledged the priest's presence, his calm demeanor setting a tone of quiet anticipation. On a stark city street, two men in sharp suits stood shoulder to shoulder, the air charged with contempt as Han scoffed at the mention of the Phoenix, his disgust clear while Jin-tae observed in silence. Han walked beside Jin-tae, curiosity edging his voice as he questioned how Jin-tae ever became a priest. Han also demanded to know why Han couldn't stop others from calling him Phoenix. Han addressed the seriousness in the air by calmly explaining to Jin-tae that the religious hierarchy placed him third from the top, listing the ranks with quiet authority. From a higher vantage, Jin-tae explained with quiet resignation that things simply ended up this way, while Han listened intently below, his thoughtful gaze reflecting the weight of circumstances. In a dimly lit room framed by towering windows and antique furnishings, Han sat tense and frustrated, voicing his displeasure about the lack of progress in the investigation of his mysterious illness. In a shadow-laden chamber thick with tension, Han, known to some as Phoenix, stood at the center of a gathering, sensing the weight of countless luminous eyes fixed upon him and feeling the silent intensity of their recognition. In the chilling half-light, Choi Il-ho's face emerged with a menacing intensity, his gaze now far more terrifying than before, casting an ominous shadow over the moment. Han stood rigid in his suit, anxiety etched across his face as he wiped sweat from his brow and struggled with the weight of his troubled thoughts. Han quietly stated that he was not the legendary Phoenix, but merely a person burdened by illness. In a starkly lit corridor, Jin-tae, his expression unwavering, signaled Ishin to follow, announcing with quiet determination that their path now led to the basement. In the muted glow of the elevator panel, a downward arrow illuminated as someone wondered aloud why they were heading to the basement, a place none of them had ever visited before, heightening the mood of curiosity and suspense. In the dim light, Jin-tae's calm voice carried a mysterious weight as he hinted that there was something important he wanted revealed. In the dimly lit corridor, Jin-tae stood resolute with Han close behind, their path barred by two shadowed figures whose tense warning made clear that entry without permission would not be tolerated. Jin-tae silently pressed a cryptic card into his hand, shrouding the moment in ominous anticipation. Inside the sterile halls of a high-security facility, Han hesitated at the threshold, his cautious glance meeting the unwavering presence of a guard. They instructed them to proceed, prompting Han to quietly wonder about the unusually strict security measures. As Han and Jin-tae enter, Thayer met with a club-like atmosphere. Han's lips parted thoughtfully as he reflected that this place reminded him of the club he once frequented during his time abroad, a distant fondness flickering in his contemplative gaze. In a dimly lit room thick with shadows, the ominous glow of scattered bottles and pills revealed a party where every guest seemed lost to the haze of alcohol and drugs, setting an unsettling scene of excess and secrecy in Korea. In the muted glow of an opulent room, Han stood beside Jin-tae, tension flickering across his features as he silently wondered why someone so critical of his partying would choose to bring him to a place like this. In the shadowy corridor, a man seized another man by the collar, his voice sharp as he demanded to know if a fight had broken out, tension crackling between them. Suddenly, a thunderous crash erupted behind them, and Han's face contorted in shock as he spun around, his alarmed gasp betraying the depth of his unease. Han recalls a memory he wanted to forget. Under flickering streetlights, tension crackled through the night as a man clamped another man in a relentless chokehold, the surrounding crowd erupting with shouts for someone to stop them. Someone from the crowd says everything is taken care of. Jin-tae asked Han why he's staring at him like that. In the dim solitude of his room, Han sat with a heavy sigh, his fingers drifting to his shoulder as he wondered with regret whether learning self-defense might have spared Jin-tae from being hurt in the past. Amid the hum of a blurred crowd, Jin-tae's thoughtful gaze lingered as he quietly uttered Hyangdi's name, his tone heavy with unspoken memories. As they entered the dimly lit corridor, Han's sudden, surprised question was quickly brushed aside by Jin-tae, who urged him to drop it and keep moving, intensifying the tension between them. Han and his companion Jin-tae advanced toward a closed curtain. Han, his curiosity edged with caution, wondered aloud about the true reason for their visit. A tense hush filled the air as Jin-tae's anxious eyes flickered, his face betraying the silent struggle as he swallowed his fear. Jin-tae asked Han to forget everything he sees from now on. Han assured Jin-tae that whatever unfolded next could be forgotten, urging him to let go of all thoughts. In a quiet, sunlit space, Jin-tae reached out with calm assurance, asking Han to simply stand beside them and hold their hand, the supportive gesture bringing a sense of reassurance between the two. Jintae's anxious grip met Han's calm curiosity as their hands intertwined, the clammy touch betraying a secret that left Han silently wondering what could possibly be hidden within that nervous palm. Amidst a heavy, ominous silence, the scene opens on the cold corner of a stone altar, its surface marred by fresh bloodstains that hint at a chilling ritual just performed. In the suffocating gloom of a shadowy chamber, a man lay shirtless and helpless, his body pinned by cold iron chains to a stone slab as a jolt of fear flashed in his wide eyes. As Han takes another look at the tied-up man, he recalls that being the guy from earlier. Han's wide-eyed shock betrayed the turmoil within as he demanded to know from Jintae what he was seeing, fear and confusion etched across his sweating face.